Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're venturing into some really fascinating, maybe slightly unsettling territory. Our source is this YouTube video, 11 Ways to Make Anyone Obsessed with You Dark Psychology.
Quite the title.
It is. And the creator, they don't really hold back. They frame these techniques, right from the start as potentially harmful, manipulative.
Right. There's even a kind of playful warning in there for people clicking on it.
Exactly. So our goal here today, just to be clear, isn't to endorse any of this stuff.
Okay, that's funny now.
We want to dissect the methods, look at the psychology, like what makes these tactics potentially work.
Absolutely. And the creator themselves puts in a big disclaimer, right?
Yeah.
Saying these methods, they're not about building healthy relationships.
Not at all. They make the point that keeping up that kind of facade, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, and the risk is high that the other person figures it out.
Yeah.
And then, well, it all falls apart.
Right. And a key thing the creator says is understanding this isn't about using it. It's about recognizing if maybe someone's using it on you.
That's a really important framing, I think. It's about awareness, self-protection almost.
Yeah. So you can spot the patterns and, like they say, walk away.
Okay, so it's about recognizing vulnerability and potential exploitation. So with that foundation, where do we start with the actual techniques? The video mentions some healthier ideas first.
It does, yeah. Before diving into the darker stuff, there are a couple of points. First is self-concept.
Okay.
This idea that if you genuinely believe people are drawn to you, that everyone loves you, your whole vibe changes. You project that.
Kind of like internal confidence attracting outward results.
Right.
Makes sense.
And the second thing was about retracting your energy. Like if you're constantly obsessing over someone else.
By checking their socials, making them your whole world.
Right. You give them all the power. So the idea is shift that focus back onto your own life, your own stuff. Makes you more intriguing, apparently.
Yeah, that definitely tracks with basic psychology. Genuine self-worth, having your own life, that's usually pretty attractive.
Yeah.
It's that internal validation versus needing it from outside.
Exactly. But then, like you said, the video pivots pretty sharply.
Into the dark psychology.
Yeah. First up, exploiting insecurities.
Okay, how does that one work?
Well, it seems pretty calculated. You figure out what someone really wants or what they feel, insecure about. And then you subtly suggest that being with you helps them get that thing or fix that insecurity.
So you become the solution to their problem.
Basically, the video gives this example, the poor lonely boy wanting social status, and then this popular girl implies that dating her will, elevate him.
That's really tapping into deep-seated needs, isn't it? The fear of not being good enough, the desire for acceptance.
Totally.
And by positioning yourself as a key, well, that's a powerful emotional hook. The video also mentioned a more direct way, too, right? About affirming insecurities.
It did. Like, say someone's insecure about their height. The tactic isn't to mention height, but to go overboard praising, I don't know, their masculinity or their strengths.
Overcompensating the praise elsewhere.
Yeah, almost. The video even used this term mogging, like some shorter guys might overachieve in other areas to kind of mask that insecurity. It's blunt.
It is blunt, but
Yeah.
it highlights the strategy. And how do you find these insecurities? The video had tips.
Two main ways. First, just knowing societal pressures. People often feel insecure if they don't meet those, typical expectations.
Okay, so general awareness.
And second, just listen, pay attention. People often reveal their vulnerabilities without meaning to.
The advice was basically shut up and listen.
Pretty much. People tell you a lot if you actually listen. Which leads right into the next tactic. It's a variation on hot and cold.
Okay. But not the usual playful push-pull.
This sounds way more deliberate. It uses those insecurities we just talked about.
How does this deviated hot and cold method work then?
So first, you shower them with praise, validation, specifically hitting those insecure spots.
Okay.
You become their go-to source for feeling good about that thing.
Building them up.
Right. And then bam, you just stop. Cold turkey. Cut off the praise, the attention.
Ouch. And the goal is?
To make them crave that validation they were getting from you, they start needing your approval to feel okay.
That creates dependence. The video's example was the photographer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The friend who always loved their photos, then suddenly goes quiet.
Yeah, exactly that. It shows how even positive stuff like praise can be twisted if it's inconsistent like that.
And it works best on people who struggle with self-validation already.
Makes sense. Which is probably why the creator mentions manipulators often target people with maybe lower self-esteem.
They're more susceptible because they rely more on that external validation. Okay, what's next? Projecting a fantasy.
This one's interesting. It's almost passive. You act like a blank slate.
A blank slate.
How so?
So the other person can project their ideal partner onto you. You don't reveal much. You just kind of mirror what you think they want.
Like letting them see what they want to see. People do that unconsciously sometimes on first dates, maybe.
Yeah, but this is doing it intentionally, dialing it up. You become the embodiment of their fantasy.
Seems hard to maintain.
Oh, yeah, the video admits that. It's tough long term, but it can create a really intense initial connection, an obsession even.
Fulfilling their dream instead of showing your reality. Okay, and then manipulating moments of weakness. That
Yeah.
sounds like it builds on the insecurity thing.
It totally does. It's taking that knowledge, those vulnerabilities you listen for, and actively using it. The creator shared a personal story, actually,
Oh, yeah.
about someone who did this, seemed really understanding about her weaknesses at first, really validating, but later she realized it was just, a setup, manipulation.
That's insidious. It feels like genuine connection initially.
Exactly.
But the intent behind it is exploitation. And the video says manipulative people are often pretty good at spotting those moments of weakness.
Yeah, like they have a radar for it, which kind of sets up the next one, painting a future together.
The future faking potential.
It seems like it. Creating these really vivid pictures of what life could be like together, especially if you seem to have something the other person really wants.
Like what? What kind of examples did they give?
Things like planning a specific amazing trip you'll take together, or even talking about having beautiful kids someday. Really concrete stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Pulling on those long-term desires.
Yeah, and there's a variation, too, where you talk about your ideal future partner, but describe them in a way that makes the target think, hey, that sounds like me.
So they start trying to fit that mold to impress you more.
Right. It dangles the possibility without any real promise.
And again, the video implies this works better on people who might be perceived as weaker or more desperate for connection.
Yeah, that was the suggestion. Which brings us to the last big one, love bombing.
Okay, love bombing. We hear that term a lot. How did the video define it in this context?
As just this total flood, over-the-top flattery, loads of future promises, constantly affirming those insecurities we talked about.
Like turning all the previous tactics up to 11?
Pretty much. And the key, again, is knowing their weak spots.
Right, the vulnerability is crucial for it to land effectively.
The examples were really specific, like telling someone who feels unattractive how incredibly beautiful they are, over and over.
Or the short king example.
Right.
Praising his masculinity and energy excessively.
Exactly. It hits right where they're most sensitive, just overwhelming them with the validation they might desperately want.
Wow. Okay, so that covers the main tactics from the video.
Yeah, that's the breakdown of these dark psychology techniques for potentially making someone obsessed.
And just to reiterate, like we said at the start, exploring this was purely informational, analytical.
Absolutely. This isn't a how-to guide.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And the creator themselves circles back at the end, right? To the importance of self-awareness, self-worth.
Yeah, for building healthy relationships, they use this analogy. Focus on building your own garden, not chasing butterflies.
I like that. Focus on your own growth, not manipulation.
Exactly. So that brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about all these tactics, even the extreme ones, what are some of the maybe more subtle ways these dynamics, this kind of push and pull, this validation game, how might that show up in everyday life, even when it's not intentional manipulation?
That's a really interesting question to ponder, how these dynamics might play out subtly around us.
Something to think about as you navigate your own interactions.